With all that happening, where does Xi Jinping stand in the ongoing power struggle in the party? Is he still in control? Now, based on different views, I summarize them into three competing theories. So theory number one is Xi Jinping still holds full power. People who hold this view insist that Xi is still in control. They point to the Fourth Plenum communique, which once again called Xi the party core, reaffirmed his thought, the Xi Jinping thought, and made no mention of him losing any of his top three positions, party, state, or military. So by appearances, Xi Jinping's grip seems unshaken. But this view has one major problem. It's based entirely on CCP official narratives and its propaganda. And also, this theory cannot explain the subtle but clear shifts we've seen. The reemergence of Hu Jintao's son, Hu Haifeng, the return of reformist Hu Chunhua. So that's one sign. And the other sign is Xi Jinping's visibly smaller entourage during public events. And then the open defiance from General Zhang Youxia, even President Trump's remark about Xi Jinping's bad moment, and the mass purge of Xi Jinping's own loyalists in the PLA. So this theory cannot explain or cannot give a reasonable explanation about these variations. So this camp claims that because Xi Jinping's power is absolute, he dares to purge his inner circle. Why it doesn't make sense to people? Well, think of it as a mafia organization. In a mafia organization, the number two challenges the big boss. The number three guy might fight the number two guy, but never leapfrog to attack the big boss directly, because the number two would instantly intervene. And in this analogy, Xi Jinping is the big boss, Zhang Youxia is the number two guy, and He Weidong the number three. So if a fight broke out, it would be between Zhang Youxia and Xi Jinping, right? Number one and number two. Or He Weidong and Zhang Youxia, between number two and number three. So that's why the idea that Xi Jinping personally purged his generals for betrayal just doesn't add up. Okay, theory number two is Xi Jinping and his opponent are stuck in a balance of terror. And the second view, supported by Ms. Cai Xia, says Xi Jinping and Zhang Youxia are locked in a struggle for power. And so Zhang used his control over the army to remove many of Xi's loyal generals. And now the two are stuck in a fragile balance of power, or a balance of terror, actually. This interpretation fits the logic of a mafia hierarchy like this. The number two challenges the boss, but stops short of overthrowing him. Still, it has a flaw. If Zhang Youxia truly wiped out Xi Jinping's military loyalists, then Xi's real power would already be gone. And there's no real balance once the boss's foundation is destroyed. Let's use the mafia analogy again. So either the number two finishes number one or vice versa. There's only one boss. There can only be one boss in a mafia organization. The two cannot coexist. So while this view makes sense on paper, it doesn't fully explain how Xi Jinping still appears to sit in Zhongnanhai, at least symbolically, after such a massive loss. Okay, theory number three, which says that Xi Jinping has stepped down. Now he is just a figurehead. The third view claims Xi has already handed over power, but the party is keeping it quiet to preserve stability. And according to this theory, the conflict between Xi and Zhang is over, and that Zhang has won. Zhang Youxia won. Xi lost. They say that the reason it was so calm and peaceful was because it went according to plan. And this wouldn't be new for the CCP because historically it has happened. After major internal purges, like from Linbiao to the Gang of Four, the party has always hidden the truth to project unity for a while. Just like Deng Xiaoping didn't openly overthrow Mao or reject Mao, because that would have meant destroying the CCP. So just like that, today's elders won't publicly denounce Xi Jinping either. Instead, they quietly sideline him, keeping him as a symbolic mascot, while others take charge. It's just like what Deng Xiaoping did to Hua Guofeng in the 1980s. Hua was Mao's chosen successor. It took Deng Xiaoping at least 2 years to gradually remove him in the 1980s. And Hua Guofeng played the role of a mascot for at least that time, at least 2 years before stepping down. So under this theory, Xi Jinping and his allies still appear on stage, but the real decisions are being made by others behind the scenes. So in short, in this theory, or according to this theory, the titles and power have separated. Observers say the best way to test this theory is through policy, because narratives, propaganda, don't mean anything. They're fabricated, they're fake. But the policies do reveal the leadership's intention and objective. So if Beijing keeps pursuing hardline anti-West leftist policies, Xi is still in control. But if the tone suddenly softens, if reforms and compromise return, it means Xi has become a figurehead. And in fact, signs of change are already visible. So this past weekend, October 26th, after 2 days of U.S. China trade talks, both sides reached a framework deal. China agreed to buy large quantities of U.S. soybeans, finally in 2025, and delay the rare earth export restrictions for a year. I think that delay for a year is just face saving. So that's a dramatic reversal from Xi Jinping's confrontational trade stance we saw a week ago. So next to watch is the military. So does the war rhetoric over Taiwan and the South China Sea continue or cool down? Those will signal who is in control. So, okay, now let's talk about what happens next. I'd like to share two voices from two individuals who are highly respected in the field. So they offer their insight on how Xi Jinping might step down, or this is their prediction of Xi's possible endgame. And the first person is obviously Ms. Cai Xia. So Ms. Cai Xia predicts that Xi Jinping will eventually be pushed out, but not by a coup, but by party elders and the military working together behind the scenes to make him step down gracefully. She believes Xi's downfall is inevitable. It's just a matter of time, but it will be quiet, not violent. And in her view, Xi has become reckless, hollowing out the military, wrecking the economy, and isolating China internationally. So to the party elders, he has to go. But removing Xi Jinping isn't about revenge. It's about survival. So that's why saving face is important to them. She also points to public unrest from the white paper movement to the recent projection logos or projection slogans across Chinese cities. They're a sign of growing resistance. Something has to be done. So Xi Jinping will step down eventually. Now, Mr. Akio Yaita, who is a China-born Japanese commentator now based in Taiwan, he sees it differently. He outlines three possible scenarios for Xi's fall. First, which is most likely, in his opinion, is Xi Jinping's health problems. He said that Xi Jinping's health issues are obvious. 2 cups at meetings, long absences suggesting medical treatment, and despite joking about living to 150, his declining health could end his rule. So Mr. Yaita believes that his number one risk is his health. And number 2 is assassination. He said it's possible, but less likely. Xi Jinping's purges have angered many in the military, and his economic policies have also made life difficult for many people, including officials. So there have been rumors of failed assassination attempts already, from hotel staff swaps to diverted flights. So security around him is very tight, but you can't guard against betrayal forever. That's what Mr. Yaita said. And the last is a potential wild card is popular revolt. China's worsening economy and the white paper movement are warning signs. If scattered protests merge into one large uprising, Like Romania in 1989, the party elite could turn against Xi to save themselves. So these are the three scenarios. And the bottom line is, Ms. Cai Xia sees Xi Jinping's fall as an internal correction, a controlled retreat led by party elders and the military to preserve the party. Mr. Yaita sees it as an external shock, collapse through a health crisis, violence, or public uprising. But both agree on one thing. Xi Jinping's power looks stable only on the surface, but the cracks are widening. So whether it comes from within or from outside, the countdown to change has already begun, and that's undeniable.